that's really, I don't know, I'm
This
trying to
is
think what else
Pastor
there could
Roy
be a
and
cost there.
co-pastor
Once you get
Madeline
into
Rogers
litigation,
of
that's where you
Divine
get costs,
Refuge
right? So
Ministries.
before I
And
put a
you're
case into
listening
litigation, I would
to
call the client
Wake
and I'd
Up.
go over
Get
that.
up from
So
there.
this is your offer right now, but we're
If
probably
you've
going
been
to spend
injured
X
in a
amount of
motor
dollars
vehicle collision,
for
you
litigation.
should
I
understand
don't
that
know how
the
much it's
insurance
going to go up.
company
You know, to
is
really
not
weigh
on your
the
side.
time,
It is
the
the
money,
adjuster's
and the
job
amount,
to get by
whether
with
it's in their
paying you as
benefit or
little
not,
as
what's in their
possible.
best interest.
Call Personal
And
Injury
most
Trial Lawyer
likely
Brent
than
Adams
not, I
now
always
for a
file
free,
suit,
no
right?
obligation
One of the things
consultation.
that is
Call now,
also in Mr. Adams' book, 10 costly mistakes that can wreck your North
910-8888.
Carolina case.
Don't
One of my
hesitate.
favorite
Call
chapters is
8. At Brent
how to
Adams
pick
and
an
Associates,
attorney.
we make
And
things
I actually
right.
had a client call yesterday who was a paralegal down in Florida and his brother got injured. And he said, no, it has to be a litigation attorney. It can't just be, it has to be a litigation attorney, which is very smart, right? You should ask your attorney. If you're in insurance, you will have a personal attorney. When you call that attorney and ask them last time they've been to trial. I want to know. Because if they haven't been to trial in years, in 25 years, or they've never been to trial, then you want to move up to a litigation attorney. And that's one of the things our firm, every one of our attorneys has the ability and takes cases to trial. Mr. Adams loves to go to trial. That's his favorite thing. He's probably one of the best trial attorneys in this region. And we go with him and have a wonderful time at trial. This is a great learning experience. I'm excited to get Emily, who's only been here for 8 months, to her first trial. It's coming.
I'm looking forward to it.
Trial is only fun for the attorneys, but you need someone, you need an attorney who's not scared to take something to trial. So, don't hesitate. Call the 910-888-8888. And again, call us and we'll send you a free copy of the book we're reading from today, 10 Costly Mistakes That Can Wreck Your North Carolina Case. Emily, do you have the book with you? I'm turning to page 14, and I'm looking at the things you should do immediately after the wreck.
All right, in there.
Yep. So, you want to go over the first one with us?
Yeah, so the first one is to make sure you call the police or other law enforcement officers
Listening,
as quickly as
listening
possible.
today. Welcome
and
to Making
if
Law
you're not
Work
able
for the
to
People
do
on
your injuries, have someone
WIDU
else do it for you.
1600,
Sometimes
sponsored
we
by Brent Adams
are
and
presented with
Associates.
clients who
My name is
opted not
Amy
to file a
Wabike,
police
and
report,
I'm an
which
attorney with
presents
Brent Adams
problems,
and Associates.
down
We
the
are a
road
law
when
firm
you're
that
trying
is
make
here
a
to
claim
help
against
you
the
with
insurance.
some of the
You need
legal
proof of
issues
what
you may
happened.
encounter.
I've
From workers'
even seen a
compensation
case
to
where
disability claims
somebody
to compensation
was
for personal
injured.
injuries and various other
Another driver ran
situations.
into them and then
We hope
decided
you'll
to
give us
drive
a call
away,
when
and
you need assistance.
the
Our
person
motto
in the
here
other vehicle
is,
decided
don't
to chase
hesitate,
them down, but
call the
because and then they called the police after they had moved their vehicle from the scene, and
8888.
because they had moved their vehicle,
We have several
the
offices
officer
across
was
North
unable
Carolina.
to determine fault.
Our main office is
facts
located at
surrounding the
119
circumstances, and so it was
Lucknow
incredibly
Square
important
in
to stay
Dunn,
put
North
and call
Carolina.
as soon as it happened.
We also have a Fayetteville
Absolutely.
location
I
at
completely agree. There's
1300
nothing more
Pamela Drive,
frustrating
CA.
to me
And
as a
our
litigation
rally
attorney
office
than to get a
is at
case
8222
that there's no crash report.
Creedmoor Road,
Now,
which is
every
conveniently
once in a
near
while,
540
I
and
can still get them
440.
settled, right?
We also
So
have
every
an
single
office
one
in
of them
Southern
I've
Pines
gotten
at
resolved
105
pre-lit.
East Massachusetts Avenue.
Because
But even if you're not near
there
one
was
of
no
our
police
4
officer,
offices or you
and
can't
all we're
stop
dealing
by,
with is
you
now
can still
the
give us a
defendant
call
who
anytime.
can change his
And
story
we'll
at
be
any
happy
time,
to
and
see
there's
how
no
we
one
can
else.
help.
It's just his
Just
word
remember,
against yours.
don't
There's
wait,
no
call
investigating
the 8.
officer. And if we have to get to
910
trial and a lot of money's on the line, then their story's going to change.
88.
So it's very important to call the police
Now,
and get
to
a police
get started
report.
with our time here
That
today,
was really good, Emily.
I want to talk about one of the biggest
so because
questions
she
we
left
get
the scene of the
every single
initial
day,
impact to
which
chase
is,
the guy down,
what should I do
the
after a car
officer
wreck?
refused
This
to
is such an
prepare
important topic because the decisions
crash
that you
report.
make in the first few hours
Right. Well, I mean, he
and the first
prepared
few
it,
days
but
after a crash can have a major
very
impact, not only on your
skeletal.
health, but also on your
How
ability
can
to
you possibly
protect
know what
yourself
happened if you
legally
can't see
and financially
where it
later
was?
on.
And there aren't
A
always
lot of
cameras
people have
around.
never been
And
in
so
a wreck before,
something to
let
keep in
alone a
mind.
serious one.
And
So
if
the
there
first
are
time that
cameras
you get
around,
in some
I
kind
had
of
an
car wreck,
18-wheeler
you're
that
shaken
did a
up,
hit and
you're
run in the
stressed,
middle of nowhere. I want to
maybe
say it
you've
was
got
like
kids in the car,
Hampton
maybe
County
you're on your way to
somewhere.
work.
But there
Whatever
just happened to
situation
be
you were
a
in,
store that are
it can
across
be
the
very
way,
disconcerting,
and
very
my
stressful.
client
We
went to
understand
the
that.
store and got
often
videotape
people don't know what to
of
do
the
first.
18-wheeler
So
fleeing the
today I
scene.
want to kind of talk
I
through
mean,
that and
so
go step by step.
sometimes
And the
there's
very
no crashes,
first thing
and sometimes
is
there are.
simple.
I have another
Check for any
18-wheeler
injuries
case
on yourself,
on
your
the highway on
passengers,
40.
and call 911.
He changed the lanes and
I'll say
hit
this,
my client,
even
but
if the wreck
luckily the
doesn't seem
man behind
catastrophic at
her,
first,
the truck
it is
that was
still a
driving
good
behind her,
idea to get
had
law
a dash cam and
enforcement
caught
out
the
to the
entire
scene
thing on video.
and to get her police report made.
And then another good
Because what
Samaritan
often
pulled over
happens is
behind
that,
her
you know,
and
at
gave
the
the
scene,
state trooper
right
the
after wreck,
video. And another
everybody
good
can be very
Samaritan actually
polite.
chased the
You know, people
18-wheeler
might say,
down
oh,
and
yes,
got pictures
I'm
of
sorry.
the
Yes, that
license
was my
plate and the
fault.
sides of the
Oh, yes,
vehicle
I
to
didn't
get
see
the
you.
company name,
But then
and
2
came
weeks
back
later,
and gave it to the
the
state
insurance
trooper.
company gets
And that
involved,
state trooper went
and
above
suddenly
and
the story
beyond
changes.
because he didn't just
Now they're saying,
write
well,
a
maybe
crash
you
report.
changed
He
lanes.
took his time.
Maybe
He went out to the
you
company,
stopped
found
too
who the
suddenly.
driver was,
Maybe
and
you were
ticketed
partially
him for
at
fleeing
fault.
the scene
And in
of a
North
crash.
Carolina,
And now we
fault
not only
matters
have
a
the
whole
company, the legitimate
North
company, we
Carolina
also
has a
have
very
the
harsh
driver of
rule
the
called
car like you're
contributory
supposed to,
negligence.
even though he fled the
And what
scene.
that
So you
means
think
is if
you
the
can get away
insurance
with
company
stuff
can
when you
convince a
can't. There are
jury
cameras everywhere.
that you were even
They also
slightly
have
at fault,
cameras
just
on the
1%,
highways now. You can see
slightly
them
responsible for
everywhere.
causing the
So
wreck
very much
or causing any kind of
there's a
accident.
video somewhere. So
It
that's
can
something I
completely
would
stop you from
ask
recovering
that
anything
if you are in a crash or
under North
who's ever with
Carolina
you,
law.
if you're listening to this
And
and
that's
one of your
why
loved ones is in a
evidence
crash,
matters,
look around and see
police
if you see a
reports
camera.
matter,
Make note of
photos
it,
matter,
and either you
witnesses
try to
matter.
go get a copy of the
And that's
camera,
why
or
we
you tell
always
us
recommend
right away about
calling
where you saw the
911
camera so
and
we
getting
can reach
law
out to them.
enforcement
You
involved.
tell the investigating officer
after
where
you
you
make
see a
sure,
camera, bring it up to their attention.
physically you're
Maybe they don't
immediately
know
okay
it.
and safe, and police
Because
are on the
that's
way.
wonderful
The next thing you want to do is gather
information. I had a crash
information.
report
And this
from a
sounds
client
obvious,
just
but you would be
recently
surprised
where the
how easy it
officer
is to
put
forget to do
33
this
in the box,
after wreck
which
when you're
means
feeling nervous or
unknown, doesn't
overwhelmed.
know how the crash
But
happened
you want to
because
collect driver's
the
license
defendant
information,
said that it
insurance
was our client's
information,
fault, and she
license
said
plate
no,
numbers,
it was
either
their
from
fault.
the other driver or
And
get
no
the
one
police
stayed
officer
that was
to get that
around
information
who saw
to
the crash
you
happen.
on a driver
She
exchange
went
form.
to
And especially the
it
name
was like
of witnesses,
an
if
auto
you can,
repair
and
store
photographs of
that was on a
everything.
catty corner to
And
the
when I say
incident,
take
and
pictures
sure
of
enough,
everything,
their
I do mean
camera
everything,
got
get
the
the
entire
vehicles,
incident
the damage,
on video.
the roadway,
and it
skid
was very
marks,
clearly
debris,
the defendant's
traffic
fault,
lights,
and they
weather
amended the
conditions,
crash report.
any visible
So that is
injuries if you do
definitely
have them.
something to pay attention
Because sometimes
to. Now,
what
hopefully
seems
you can call a
unimportant at
loved
the
one, or
scene
you can hand
later
your
can
phone to
become
somebody
incredibly
if you're
important
badly
for your
injured,
case.
for them to call
Maybe
their
there's standing
spouse or
water
loved
on the
one to
road.
come out to the scene.
Maybe there was poor light
and
lighting.
do these things for
Maybe
you.
there
Take
was a missing
pictures
stop
at the
sign
scene.
that played a role
I really
in the
would
wreck
prefer
happening.
you
Maybe
as
the
the
damage
victim
was worse
to
from a
not
different
get out
angle
of the car
that you wouldn't
and
necessarily
do
see
not.
from one side of
I
the
have
car.
EMS reports.
You can't go back later
where
and
the
recreate the
EMS
scene exactly as it
staff,
was.
I
So when it
don't know
happens,
why they do this,
that
but
is your
they say
best
things like
opportunity to get that
the
information
victim was
and make
walking
sure you
around
get some
the
kind of
scene
record of
and
it.
perfectly like
And
they're
another
perfectly fine. They
thing that
make it
people don't think
overly
about
apparent,
is
like
that
the
if there are
person wasn't
witnesses
injured,
standing around,
which is crazy
try
to
to
me.
get their names and phone numbers
I have
if
one
you
right
can.
now that I'm fighting.
Anyone
because
who's
she's very
at the
badly
scene, you
injured,
might say, "Oh my
and,
gosh, I saw
and
what
crying
happened. Are you
hysterically.
okay?"
Apparently, like
Just have
3
them write down on a
ambulances
piece of
showed up
paper, have
to
them
the
type
scene,
it on
and
your
the third
phone,
one is the
their
one that
name,
took her
their
away.
phone number.
And
Because
the
an
first one, the
independent
second
witness can
ambulance
make a
told her to
huge
call
difference
AAA because she
when the
didn't know what to
insurance
do about
company
her
is
car.
arguing
And the EMS
about who is
report by the
responsible.
third ambulance that
And often,
showed up
even if the police show
was
up,
terrible. Didn't
they
say that
don't
she was
always get
injured at
those
all,
names and numbers
so that she
for
wasn't
you.
in any apparent
I cannot
distress,
tell you
that
how
she
many
was on
times
the
I've
phone
seen a
the
case
whole
come
time,
in,
which is
someone was hurt
absolutely
in a car
not
wreck,
true. And
and they
now we
said,
have
"Oh, yes,
affidavits from
there
people
was a
that were
woman
at the
who
crash
said, 'Oh
scene
my God, I
talking
saw the
about
whole
how
thing happen.'
hysterically,
There was a man who
how
was at the
hysterical
scene
she
who
was,
said, 'Oh my
and
gosh,
how she
I
was
saw that other
limping and
driver
holding her
run
back.
the red stoplight.'
But I would have never
But
known
then maybe that person leaves
from her
before the
medical
police
record.
get there.
So
Or
it's,
for whatever
it's very
reason,
important to do everything
the
you
police
can
don't
right
take
then,
the
and if
full
you
time
can't,
talking to
call a
them.
loved one.
Don't get
And I
their
hope
name
they're
and phone
listening
number.
right now. So
Maybe
if you're
the
a
police
loved one
officer
that
thinks,
gets
"Oh, well,
this
this is
call, that's what you
straightforward.
need to do.
I don't need to get that witness's name down.
What
So
do you
that's
know?
important if you can
Before
get
we
that
move on,
name,
there are
that
a
phone
few
number,
issues that just came to
how many
mind
witnesses
while
at
we
the
were talking
scene.
about the
Grab it.
police report.
So
The first
let's
is
talk about
be
one of
careful
the
with
biggest
what you
mistakes
say
that we have seen after
when the
car wreck.
accident happens,
And that's
because you
people
could be
refusing
injured
to
and
get medical
not
treatment
know it at
when
that
they're
time.
hurt.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it
and
can
this
take a few
happens
hours
all the
for the
time.
pain to kick
Somebody
in, and
gets
if
rear-ended,
you say,
their adrenaline is
you know,
pumping,
to the officer,
maybe they're
I'm okay,
embarrassed,
I'm okay.
they just want to go
Or
home.
you
Maybe
say,
you
I don't know
want
what
an ambulance,
happened.
though.
I don't know if
So
it was
you'll
my
say,
fault. Just be very
"Hey, I'm
careful
okay.
with what you
I'll tough
say.
it out. I'll sleep this off."
While everything is
next morning,
developing, you know,
you
your
wake up and you can
adrenaline's
barely
high,
turn your neck,
and you may be
or your
prone
lower
to
back is
talking
locking
or
up,
speaking with
the
the other
shoulder
driver.
hurts.
Just
you
be
have
very
headaches,
mindful that,
maybe
that what
numbness
you
and
say
tingling
goes
starts,
into evidence.
and that's
right?
because
And
adrenaline
so
can mask a lot of
you
pain
may be hurt
after traumatic
and
events.
you say you're fine and then find out later that you're
who
hurt. That's
was
gonna
in a car wreck.
Looks
not
like
be
we're
great
gonna
for your
take a
case.
Managed to drive himself
Let's
home,
do,
or
don't
have his wife
hesitate,
pick
call
him
the
up,
8
drove all the way
910
home,
8888.
went to bed,
This is Brent
went
Adams
to the
and
emergency
Associates, making the law
emergency
work
room
for
the
the
next
people.
day and found out that he had fractured his wrist. He managed to make it all the way home with a fractured rib, and it was just the adrenaline was pumping so hard he didn't even realize it. So not every injury shows up immediately, as soft tissue injuries can worsen over days. Concussions may not be fully present right after the wreck. Inflammation can build up over time. So if you've been in a wreck, our suggestion, our recommendation is go get checked out. Make sure you don't have any broken bones. Make sure you don't have internal injuries. And if you're hurting, go get checked out. Even if the doctor just gives you some pain medication and tells you to go home and rest, you have a record showing that you are having pain. Just like having a police report is an important record showing that the wreck happened, getting checked out by the doctor is an important record to show that your injury happened. Now, another thing I want listeners to understand is this. Insurance companies pay very close attention to treatment gaps. They love treatment gaps. If somebody waits 2 weeks or a month before seeing a doctor, the insurance company can argue, well, that maybe something else caused this injury. Maybe something else caused your pain.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. Yesterday, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office Special Investigations Unit executed a search warrant in the 300 block of Maloney Avenue in Fayetteville. As a result, 49-year-old Enrico McNeil of Fayetteville was arrested and charged with possession with intent to manufacture, sell, and deliver a Schedule II controlled substance and deliver a Schedule II controlled substance. Are you looking to gain hands-on experience in law enforcement and public safety? The Fayetteville Police Department is now accepting applications for the internship program. It is an unpaid internship that will allow students to work up to 40 hours a week from May 11th through August 7th of this year. To qualify, applicants must be current student at any college or university, must not have been convicted or pleaded guilty or no contest to a felony or any offense that would be considered a felony if committed in the state of North Carolina. They also must not have been convicted of a misdemeanor of a serious nature that reflects moral turpitude or indicates a tendency to disregard the law. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
It is a cold
people
start
who
out
have
there
been
to
hurt
our
in wrecks
Tuesday
like this.
morning. However, heading into
But what
the
they don't
afternoon,
realize
things
is
are going
that
to feel
insurance
a lot
adjusters
different
are
for
trained
us.
to
High
ask
temperatures in the
questions in
mid to upper
ways
60s
that can minimize
under a
your
mainly sunny
damages
sky.
or
Overnight
put
clouds
your
increasing, temperatures
legal
drop into the upper 40s
rights at
and
risk.
the lower 50s.
For example,
and then
they may
some morning
ask,
clouds, we
"Oh,
gradually
are you
break
feeling
into
better
some
today?"
afternoon
And you
sunshine
might
on
casually
Wednesday,
say, "Oh, yes,
with
I'm
highs
feeling
about
a little
60 to
better."
65.
Then 6 months
For the
later,
North
they
Carolina
use that
News
against you
Network,
and
I'm
say, "Well, you
meteorologist Chris
admitted that
Michaels
you
in
were
the Weather
improving
Center.
right after
Wake
the wreck
up,
happened."
catch the vision,
Or
join
they
the
might ask
team.
you,
This is Pastor
would you say
Reginald
that this
Johnston
collision
of my
was minor?
Father's House Christian
And,
Church
you know, maybe
right here in
visually,
Fayetteville. We
the
want you
damages
to
look pretty
wake up
minor
and
to
join
you.
the team.
Maybe
Behold, how good
body
and
repair
pleasant it
shop
is for
hasn't
brethren
gotten
to
into your
dwell
car and
together
seen
in
all the
unity.
frame
It's
damage
good
that
when we
went
come
on.
together. We're one
And
body,
so you
many
might say,
parts.
"Yeah,
We
I guess it
desire
was
that you wake
pretty
up and
minor."
join the team.
And
It's
now the
good to
insurance
be a
company
part
argues,
of Wake
well,
Up.
even
Wake
you
up,
admitted
join the
that
team.
this was a
We will
minor
see
accident.
you in Jesus'
So
name.
words
God bless you.
matter.
I am
Statements
thrilled
matter.
to share the honor
And
of
remember,
receiving an
the
endorsement
adjuster
from
may
the
sound
Union
friendly.
Food and Commercial
Many of them
Workers
are
and the
friendly
North Carolina
people,
State
but their job at the
AFL-CIO.
end of the day
Let us
is still to
reflect on
protect
the
the
powerful
insurance
words of
company's
Dr.
money.
Martin Luther King
That's
Jr.
their role.
The time
And your
is
role
always right
is to protect
do
yourself
what is right.
and your
I
family.
am Charles Evans, your
So
dedicated
one thing we
candidate
tell
for
people all
County
the
Commissioner
time
at
is
large.
you don't have to figure all
Together,
this out
we can
alone.
carry this
That's
essential
why our
work forward
consultations
on
are
your
free.
behalf.
So if you
For
have
bold
questions
and
after a
intentional
wreck,
leadership,
if you
both
don't know
Charles Evans
whether
for
you
County
should see a
Commissioner
doctor,
at large.
if you don't
Paid for
know,
by the committee to elect
what you
Charles
should do
Evans.
with your case,
I'm
if
Tony
the
Stewart,
insurance
and I
company
don't
is
just talk
pressuring
about
you,
service,
if
I
you're
live
confused
it.
about
I've served
medical
on the Board of
bills
Commissioners,
and
and
about
today I
talking
serve
to the
as
insurance
Regional 6
company,
Director of the Department of
don't
Social
wait.
Services
Call the
Institute,
8.
supporting
Give us a
families and
call
strengthening
at
our community.
910
I was also appointed by former Governor Roy Cooper to the North Carolina Health Coordinating Committee, bringing our voices to the state level. I stand
Another
for
thing I want
smart
to talk
growth,
about is
livable wages, strong schools,
some people
and
can
safer neighborhoods.
misunderstand.
Vote for me, and you get proven leadership
Basically,
that works for people,
even
not
if
politics.
you have
Remember
a
Tony
smaller
Stewart.
impact
Together, let's
to your
move
car
Cumberland
after a
County
wreck,
forward. Paid for by
that
the
doesn't
committee
mean
to
you
elect
cannot
Tony
be
Stewart for
injured.
County Commissioner. at
People
large.
might think, if the damage to my car isn't huge, then I probably don't have a case. But that is a misconception, because the reality is some of the most painful and long-lasting injuries happen in what insurance companies like to call low impact collisions. Even from
Hello, thanks for
just
coming
kind
and
of a
joining us
straightforward rear end,
making the
or
law
maybe there's
work for
only
the people,
some damage to the
WIDU
bumper.
1600,
I have still
sponsored by
seen
Brent
people get
Adams and
herniated
Associates.
discs,
My name is Attorney
shoulder
Diana Devine,
injuries,
and I have with
and
me
especially
Attorney Emily
concussions,
Hickman.
which
We
include
are
chronic
two
headache,
personal injury
vision
attorneys
problems,
here at
and maybe
Brent Adams
even
and
some
Associates.
memory loss,
We handle all
or,
types of injury
brain
cases,
fog
workers' compensation,
after wreck
Social
happens.
Security, disability
And the
as
reason
well.
for that is very
And
simple.
our motto is
the
don't
human body
hesitate,
is
call
not
the
built to absorb a certain amount of force.
888-8888.
So
Check us out
when you
at
get hit by
brentadams.com
someone,
or on
especially from
Facebook.
behind,
And
all
you
that
can
force can rush up
read
into
all
the
of our
front
wonderful
and rock you
5-star
back and
reviews
forth.
on Google as well.
And
Emily and I were
sudden violent
discussing
motion,
what
even
to
if
do
there's
when
not
you
a lot
first
of
get in a
visible damage
crash.
to your car,
And Emily,
can
where
still do a lot
did
of
we leave
damage
off?
to your body.
Yes, we were on the topic of
And sometimes
police
I think
reports,
insurance
and
companies try to condition
not only the
people into
importance
believing,
of calling law
especially if they can
enforcement
give
after
you a
you're in
call
a car
before you talk to an
accident,
attorney,
but also
and have
being
someone else look at
mindful
your case.
of what you say.
Well, if your car doesn't look destroyed,
because it's being
then
written
nobody
down,
could
it's
really
going
be
into
hurt.
evidence.
But that's not how the body
Sometimes
works.
people are in
And
shock.
I
There's
will
high
give you an
adrenaline.
example.
They say, I'm okay,
I had
I'm
a
okay.
client once.
When
I
in
will
fact,
obviously leave her
they
name
very
out,
well
details
could
for
be
privacy.
injured, and they just,
But she was
the
sitting at a red
adrenaline's
light.
so high, they're
traffic
not feeling
was
the
stopped,
pain yet.
and another driver looked down at their
often
phone
I
for
see
just
this
a
happen
second,
where
checking their map,
the client
and
goes to the emergency room,
and now when you
they're
look at the
sent
vehicles
home,
afterward,
and then the
all the
next
pictures,
day
the
is
damage
when it
didn't
hits,
look
and they
horrible.
realized
The
how
rear bumper
severely
had some
injured they
damage.
really are.
The trunk was a little
and
bent
so
in.
if you say, I'm
But it's
okay,
not
and it's
a
written
big,
down, I'm okay,
mangled up crash
insurance
scene
companies,
like
their
you see on
job
TV. In fact, one of the
oftentimes
first things she
to
told me was,
pay as little as
I don't even know if
possible.
I should
And
have
so
called a
they're
lawyer,
looking for
because my
reasons
car doesn't look that bad.
that you're not
second guessing
injured.
myself.
Right.
At first
and
she thought,
so
I'm
you saying that
probably
you're
just
fine,
sore.
you
I'll sleep it off.
posting
It'll
on
go
Facebook,
away. I'll
water
just push
skiing the
through it.
next
She kept going
day.
to work.
You know, you have to
kept
be
trying
very
to ignore the
careful.
pain. Over the next couple of weeks,
I mean, they're
got
looking
worse.
for this, not that
That
you would be out there
stiffness
doing that.
was
I'm just
radiating
saying
down
they're
her
looking
neck,
for
and
evidence
her
that
headaches
there
were
is
not
no
going
injury.
away.
That's
even
a
after
great
taking
point.
some
When
over-the-counter
it first
medication.
happens,
And so eventually,
it's not
what they found
a
after
super
getting her
severe
checked out
crash,
is
or
that
even if
she
it is
did
pretty
have a
bad,
concussion,
but
and that she
you have
did
a
have an
great car
injury to one of the discs in her
got
neck.
all
that
the
was causing all that
airbags
pain
and
to shoot
everything,
down her arm,
you feel like
through her
you're
neck.
okay, right? And your
So,
adrenaline is
a lot of
super
injuries are
pumping,
not immediate
especially if
explosions of
your
pain.
car is completely
They
destroyed.
unfold slowly
And so you don't know
over
if you're
a few
injured at
days
that
or a
point,
few
literally.
weeks.
And
Your
if there
muscles
isn't
can
a
tighten
severe
up, your nerves can become
like
irritated,
pain right
which
away,
is once again
then
why we
people are
always
like, oh, I'm
recommend
okay,
it.
I'm okay, I'm okay.
Even if your car doesn't look
I
that
actually
bad,
got into a
go
crash
to the
and I did
doctor,
everything
get
wrong.
checked out.
And I have been doing
If
this
you're
a very
having
long
pain,
time. I was
go to the
very
doctor,
disappointed in
get
myself.
checked out.
So I always tell
And
my clients, if you're
absolutely
in a crash,
give an
don't
attorney
talk
a
to the
call.
defendant, don't get out of the
So,
car.
It's not
call
injury
a loved
shows
one.
on
I
an
did do
X-ray.
that. I
A
called a
lot
loved
of
one and
soft
came and took pictures,
tissue
thank
injuries
God.
do not.
And
especially
go
for
in the
disc injuries,
ambulance,
those can
ambulance
require an
came.
MRI.
I was
concussion may not show up on imaging
at a
overall.
light.
These are just
and I was
symptoms
pretty
back
far
to
back.
first
This is in
over
Raleigh,
time.
so there was like, I
So
don't know,
that's why it's
50 cars
important to
around
see a
me. And I
doctor,
was pretty far back
get
from the
treatment,
light.
and then
And
follow
it was
those
a
treatment
slight curve.
recommendations.
But I had been
and
sitting
see
there
how
for
your
a long
body
time.
feels
So at
as
this
you
point,
go.
I had actually leaned up and like broke the seal on the seatbelt. And this woman just came out of nowhere and
pardon
wasn't
me, I'm
paying
going to just grab
attention
some
and
water
just
here really
slammed
quick.
right in the back of me. And I had my foot on the brake, and I was so worried that I was going to hit the car in front of me that all I focused
Now,
on
another
was keeping
common
my foot on
question
that
I
brake.
get from clients
And
is,
it was a split
why is
second
my
when I
case
saw her
taking
coming,
so
so I
long?
had tensed up.
And
But
this
my
is
whole
something that
body
frustrates
went
almost everybody
forward
at
on
some
top
point
of
during a
the
personal
steering
injury
wheel
case.
because she hit me so hard
But
in
to
the seatbelt I
understand
had
how
already
these
unlocked
plants
because I'd
work,
been sitting there for a few
um,
minutes. And
a lot of the times it is just
I didn't know
governed
what to do.
by your injuries,
but the cop
by your
comes
treatment.
over to me, and I'm still
When
sitting in
you
the car.
get
She
a
came to my
claim, a
window,
lot of
and she
people
was like, "Are
think
you okay?
that,
I'm so sorry. Are
especially
you
if this is
okay?"
your first time
And
being injured in a car
I
wreck.
just nodded and was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
okay.
yeah." And
I got
I
hurt
wish
in a
I
car
hadn't
wreck.
said that, but
It wasn't my
it's
fault.
automatic reaction.
Maybe
at
the
the time. You're very
responsibility is clear. Let's
overwhelmed.
say you got
It's
rear-ended.
just a high.
No one's
tense
arguing about
situation.
who's responsible.
I did not get out of the car.
So then then
a little cop comes over to me and through the window was like, "Were you stopped? Were you stopped? Were you stopped?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Unfortunately,
I was stopped for a long time.
our laws are set
An
up.
ambulance came.
That's not how
my
our
adrenaline
laws
was
are set up.
pumping, and I started crying, and they were pushing
the way
on
an
me.
insurance company will pay you.
It didn't. I didn't feel like I was hurt, but I was a little
at one
nauseous.
time. At
And
the
now
very
I
end
know
of
it's
your
because
case, after you
for all these years
wrapped up all your
of doing
treatment,
this, you
after
get
you've
a
gotten all the
mild
medical
TBI when
bills,
it happens
medical
because your
records
head flings
collected,
forward and
and
backwards,
you've
and
gotten
your
all
brain smushes
any lost
against the
wages
front
you
and
might
the
have
back
had,
of your
all that
head.
documentation
And it
submitted
makes you
and
sick.
turned in.
But I went home because I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to lay down.
Oftentimes you want to
and I did, heat
follow up
pads
on
and
your
ice
treatment
because I didn't
plan
really know
and
what to
see
do.
how your body
And I
feels,
waited. It was a
make
Thursday,
sure
I think.
that you have an
So I
understanding
didn't go
of
to
what your
work
injuries
Friday,
are
and then by
what kind of treatment you
Monday,
need
I had to take the car to
before
go get
anything can really move
fixed
forward
because
with
I was
your
able to
case.
drive it away, but there was like things hanging off of it. It was very dangerous. So
I know that can make it
I went
difficult
to go
because
drive it to
even
the
wreck happens,
the
not
repair
your fault,
place,
but
and when I turned,
life goes on
while
all
I
the
was
same.
driving, I couldn't turn my neck the whole
rent,
way.
car
And I didn't even
payments,
realize
medical
this. It
appointments.
wasn't until I had to turn my neck so far to look over my shoulder while I was driving that I realized how bad I was injured.
All that
and
said,
I immediately went to urgent
it is still
care
important
and
to make
told
sure that
the woman
your
that
treatment
I couldn't turn
is
my head.
complete,
I literally
before
physically could
your
not
medical bills and records
turn
are
my
turned in.
head.
Or at least that you have
and
a
I
good
had no
idea
idea
of
until I
what your
tried
injuries are
before I
and what
knew how
treatment
bad
you're
it
going
was.
to need in the
So
future.
you really don't know.
Before
And this was
anything
4
is
days
presented
after my
to the
crash that I
insurance company.
couldn't physically
Because
move
once your claim is
in
settled,
certain directions.
then it is settled
that the
forever.
muscles were so
Once the
badly
resolution is
tensed
reached,
up.
there's no
and,
reopening it
all she did was
for
give
a
me
personal injury claim.
medications and
Some other kinds of
massages
claims
and
can be
things
different.
like
For
that.
example,
It was
workers' comp.
shocking though. I
So
didn't
a
think I
workers'
was
comp
that badly
claim is
injured until
has
a few
its own set
days
of rules,
later
but for a
when I
personal
literally
injury claim,
couldn't move.
there's only going to be
So,
one settlement if it's reached.
The point is,
that's
you don't
why we
know
always
how
want to make
injured
sure
you are when it
going
first
to a
happens.
doctor, following their recommendations,
Right.
and seeing what kind of treatment you
Adrenaline
need, and
gives
having
us
a good
lot of
grasp on what
strength,
your injuries
and
are. Because
once
like
it
I
wears
said,
off,
a lot of those injuries,
is when
they don't show
as
up
time will
right
tell.
away after wreck happens.
Yeah.
They can take some time to really get a grasp
so that's
on
just
them.
one thing to keep in mind. Also, getting
Now, the good news
evaluated
is,
when you
giving
feel
an attorney
fine
a
is
call
also very
can
important
be a huge
for
help
that
with this.
reason.
That's exactly what we're here
Sometimes
for.
people
What we will do is
are afraid of
gather
medical bills,
your medical
and
records
so they
for
avoid
you.
the doctor for that
We will
reason.
order
But the
your
longer
medical
you
bills
wait,
for you, keep track of
particularly
those.
past 2 weeks,
We will
the
handle
more it
putting
hurts
all
your
those
case.
together
Because
for you.
again,
Yeah.
the insurance company will
we can
see
also
that
help
as,
you with
well, how
getting
hurt are you
paperwork.
if you didn't even
That way you
need
can
to see
show
the doctor?
your
So
lost
Very
wages
important
and
the first
present
2
that
weeks. Let's put
to
it
the
that way.
insurance
Very
company.
important the first 2
So when
weeks.
it comes
You need
to a
see
bodily
medical
injury
provider
claim,
within the first
that's
2
why we
weeks,
always say,
right? I'm so glad you
don't
brought
wait.
that up.
Call the
And
8,
if you don't have
910
health insurance,
888.
you should go to the emergency room and contact us
Give
right
us a
away
call,
because
let
we
us
actually
see how we can help
have
and take some of that pressure off
we know
for
of
you
people
while you're getting your
companies
treatment and while you're
medical
recovering
providers
from a
that
car wreck.
will treat you on a lien basis, right? Which means that you don't have to pay out of pocket. We'll get the health care that you need now, and it will come out of whatever settlement ends up being resolved. Right, so that's one way to get health care and the medical attention that you need right away.
A situation where you have a hit and run. So what do you do in a situation where a driver hits you, please explain what kind of information should you collect then? If you find that situation,
wreck your North Carolina
obviously
case,
still our
one of the books that
recommendation
Mr.
is
Adams
call
has written,
911,
and if you call
check
today,
yourself out for injuries,
910-888-888,
get the police officer there
and
to
you're a
the
loyal
scene and have
listener
them
to
make a report.
WIDU, making the law work for
Even
the
if they
people,
can't find the
we
driver
will send
immediately,
you
sometimes
these
there's
books
still
for free.
investigation they can do, and they can find that driver after they've left the
one
scene.
thing
They
before
can
we move
track
on
them
to the
down.
next topic,
But even if
what
they cannot,
happens
it
if
is
the
still
police
important
report
to have
is wrong?
some
If
kind
the
of
police
record
officer,
at the wreck
in
happened.
their narrative, their
And-
description of
but
what
don't
happened
despair.
is incorrect.
Even if you get hit
So
by a
that
driver,
happens.
police officers
it
cannot track
happens
them
more
down. They are not
often
found after the
than
wreck.
I like,
But you
but
still
it's
have
not
coverage
often, but
under your own
it does
insurance
happen.
policy that can help you.
And
Every policy
there are
in
lots
North
of things
Carolina
you can do. So
that you have for your
you
car
can
comes
go
with
to
what is called
the officer
uninsured
and see
motorist
if
driver.
he'll
So if
change
you're
it
hit
after
by
the fact.
a hit-and-run
Normally,
driver,
if somebody's injured and taken
that
away, or if it
UM
takes
or
too long for
uninsured
the
motorist
officer to
driver
get there,
is exactly
there's
what
lots of
can
different
come into
reasons this
play
could
to
happen.
help you out.
Did you ever
So
even
that's
speak to
why
the officer
still
as the
follow all
driver?
the same steps.
Did they speak to
Get
any
as much
witnesses,
information as you can.
or
Make sure
victims
police
of the
officers
crash,
come
or the
down to the scene,
defendant? Who
take
did
any
he
photos.
speak to get that
Obviously, if
statement?
you
Sometimes
can,
the officers
there
just
are
talk to other
witnesses nearby
officers.
who might have
Sometimes
seen
the
the car,
officers
can
never
give
even
any
get to
details
talk to you.
about
They
it.
can just see
You want to
from the
get their
crash,
names and phone
from
numbers
the type of
and make sure
incident,
that
where
that
it
is
was
passed
located,
along
where the
to the
damage
police
is on the
officers.
car. But if they didn't speak to you
Now that said,
or get a witness
if you are
statement
doing
or
an uninsured
pictures
motorist
and the crash
claim
report
through
is
your
wrong,
own insurance
you can
company,
usually provide that
I've often
information
seen
and they will
people,
amend the
get
crash report.
confused and feel that, know.
If they don't amend
this is
it,
my insurance
and you're
company
confident
now,
that this is what happened, and you feel like you can
obviously
prove
they're
it,
on my
you can
side,
go above that
here to help
officer's
me
head
out.
to their
That's not always
supervisor,
the case.
and
We still suggest
talking to an attorney,
give your grievances and see if
your
they'll
insurance
amend
company
it.
at the end of the
But
day
at that point,
might
that's
also
as
be
far as
looking
you
for
can
ways
go.
to
And that's a
save
whole lot
themselves
of
some
work.
money. And
State
there are
troopers
reasons that
are
they could
actually
deny
trained
and
and
uninsured motorist
like
claim.
very detailed training, take courses and follow and have continuing
don't assume that the
education
insurance company
and actually go to
automatically
school
has
to do
your best
their
interest at mind
crash
just because
investigation,
it is
right?
your own insurance company.
Police officers
they can
do
still
not.
dispute
I
how
don't
the
believe they have
collision
any training at
happened.
all. And
They
then
can
now
still
they have
dispute
these little
your treatment,
what are they called, Emily? Like little
gaps
task
in your
force
treatment,
people that come
the
out
value of your
sometimes
case,
to high
and your
crash
coverage.
scenes. They're not
So that's
officers
why,
at all.
even in that situation,
and they'll do a
it's
crash
still
report,
important
which
to
is
speak with an attorney.
not great because
Protect
if
yourself,
we need
protect
to,
your
we'll bring an
family.
officer to
Know what your legal rights
court. But most of it would be hearsay unless the officer specifically spoke to you, right? So we need to talk to that officer and see why he put in his report what he did. Did he physically talk to everybody? Did he see the damages? Can I get him put in and tendered as an expert? And usually the answer is no. It has to be the state troopers. I can usually get tendered as an expert. So,
Perfect.
yeah, you can get it amended, but it's unlikely. Most of the time, the officer knows, and it does become a swearing contest, where especially if the light was green, my light was green, no, my light was green, like that, and the officer puts unknown in the box. That's what we call a swearing contest, but which would be no issue in any other state besides the 4 states that have security negligence like that.
Let me talk about my day.
Contributory negligence. Every other state is comparative. We have contributory negligence. So, if a jury deems that, no, your
North
light is
Carolina
red,
Health
then
Department personnel are monitoring the recent hantavirus outbreak on board the MV Honduras cruise
even
ship.
if you're only
One
slightly
person from
at fault,
North
you get
Carolina was
nothing.
on that
It's a
ship.
bar.
They are
So that
now in a
crash
hospital in
report is more
Atlanta.
important than
North Carolina
we'd
lawmakers
like
are
to
nearing
deal
a
with.
deal on
again,
raises
we can
for
fight
state
it off
employees, an
at
accord that
trial,
would
but you
move
don't want to take the
legislative
case if
leaders
you
closer to
only have a
finalizing
minimal,
a comprehensive
very
state
minor
budget.
injury.
Defense Secretary Pete
but
Hegseth
you
is
need
back
some
on
care.
Capitol Hill
Even if it
today
wasn't your
to
fault
talk
and the
about the
officer said it was your
Pentagon
fault,
budget and transparency
not
dealing with the war against
worth
Iran.
the time,
Rising
effort,
gas
and
prices are
expenses to
driving
take it to
home
trial
the
to
Iran war to
try and fight that,
Americans.
right? It's because
President
it's
Trump
such a
says
small
that he's in favor of
injury
suspending the
and
national
treatment.
gas tax.
That's the
It
issue.
would be about
So
18
now,
cents per gallon. Law
sometimes
enforcement
damages
agencies
need
across the state
liability,
are
but
stepping up
liability,
efforts
you
this
know,
week
is
to
so
remind
strict here.
drivers
But if it
about
was a
North
wrongful
Carolina's
death case,
move
I
over
don't care if
law.
there's been
Charlotte Mayor
contributory negligence. I'm
Vialaus
gonna take
addressed
it.
her
I'm gonna fight it,
resignation
and
last
we're
night
gonna
during a
see
council
what we can
meeting.
do for that family.
Mike Riley, NCN News.
Right. So
I'm Jamie Monticelli,
some things to
WIDU
remember,
Radio News.
just to
The
wrap
city of
up that
Fayetteville
topic
invites you
is
to a
make sure
community
you do
chill
call
out.
the
It is a
police.
week
It's
from
incredibly
today at
important.
11
Stay
a.m. at
put.
Sweet Frogs
Don't drive your
at
vehicle away
433
from the
Hay
scene.
Street. Cumberland
Be
County
careful
Schools say
what you
join our
say.
virtual Cumberland
Everything
Family
goes
Academy
into
Lunch and
evidence.
Learn. This is Thursday,
And,
May 14th at noon. It
yeah,
goes
just pay
until
attention
1
to your
p.m.
body and make
Learn
sure you
about
do get
pre-K
treatment,
enrollment,
which is also a
eligibility,
form of
and how
evidence.
learning supports your
Let's
child's
within
success.
2 weeks.
Families also will have the chance to ask questions during a live
item
chat.
number 2, remain
Don't forget
calm.
to check out Fayetteville's Music History
if you feel
exhibit
that
at the
you've been
Fayetteville History
injured,
Museum.
it's best to
That
stay in the
temporary
car.
exhibit
We
takes a
touched on
look
that
at
briefly.
Fayetteville's music history
Try
from
not to
schools
show
to the
anger.
Fayetteville Symphony
Don't get out of
Orchestra
your
to
car
artists
and
who
yell at the
lived
other
in
driver.
Fayetteville. On display are
admit
several
fault
artifacts,
yourself.
including sheet music, images,
Don't
and
discuss
more.
the accident
North
with the other
Carolina
driver.
Emergency Management says
Just like
hurricane
Diana
season is just around the
accidentally
corner.
did.
It starts June 1st. Create and review your evacuation
just
plan
remember
and
that
check
anything
your
you say
emergency kit.
Can be used against
From
you. So
WIDU
just be
Radio,
very
I'm
careful.
Jamie
That police report
Monticelli.
is so important, and so the way you conduct yourself is
High
also
pressure over us
important.
today brings
yeah,
beautiful
I've had-
weather, lots of
later
sunshine
on,
this
cases
afternoon.
get,
Feels nice
there was a
outside
low
with high
value
temperatures in the
and
low
pre-litigation,
70s
so it
today.
moved up the list
Mostly
to
clear
me,
skies expected
and come to
overnight
find out
tonight, and
that
it turns cool.
my client got out of
Temperatures
the
will
car
fall
and
into
tried
the
to fight
lower
the guy who hit
50s.
him.
While mostly sunny skies
not
Wednesday, by
recommended.
Wednesday night some showers and storms are
That is
possible.
not
Highs Wednesday
acceptable
climb into the
behavior for an injured
mid-70s to near
person.
80 degrees.
Or
Meteorologist
any
Amy Wilmoth
person.
in the
Yeah, or
NCN
any
Weather
person.
Center.
But particularly
Bless
if
the
we're
Lord.
trying to
I'm
speak
Dr.
that.
Auntie Newell, pastor of the Soul Harvest
calm.
Apostolic
Don't-
Church.
don't
The
show
church
anger.
not
You know,
just there
you have
in
to
the
know
community,
when
but there
somebody
for
hit
the
you,
community
you're the
of
victim.
Spring Lake,
You know,
North
be the
Carolina.
victim.
We're looking for
Everything-
more than a few
everything
good men
that
and
is heard or
women to
seen
join
can
the
be used
team.
against you in court.
Iron
Remember
sharpeneth
that.
iron.
Perfect.
We may have what you need.
the
You
third
may
is to
have
call a
what we
family
need.
member or a trusted
Catch the
friend.
vision. Join the team.
kind of a
Join Wake
given.
Up.
And it's also
You
great
have
to have them
always
as a
put
witness
others
as well.
before
So
yourself.
Call for
Put your
yourself, for
country
your
above
health,
all
for
else.
your moral support, and
Giving
also to have
everything you
witnesses. Very
can
important.
every time.
Yeah, I don't want
Now it's
y'all
time
to
to
get
forge
out
a
of
new
the car.
path.
I want your
At
loved
Fayetteville
one
State
who shows up to the
University,
scene to take
we
a
believe
picture,
your
check on
service
you,
is
really
our
do
debt.
most
So
of
we're
the stuff,
offering
right? Help
free
you
military
walk
family
to the
tuition.
EMS when it shows
Yes,
up,
absolutely free.
block from other people
And with
from
new
speaking to
programs
you,
like
the defendant.
cybersecurity,
Only
anything
the
really
officer
can
should
happen.
speak to you. And
Fayetteville
you're going to be
State
very
University.
upset. Like, you know,
Are
you
you
get
in?
super upset. I told you when the officer just ran over to me and all she yelled at me was, "Were you going to stop? Were you stopped?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was stopped for a long time." And I didn't, at the time, I didn't realize. And then 2 seconds later, I was like, "Oh, she was just wanted to know right then whose fault it was."
Right.
Yeah, like, so it was obviously their fault. And I was like, "Yes, I was stopped for a long time, so long that I had actually been like doing stuff in my car." And leaned out and broke the seal on the seatbelt.
We'll have ribs, chicken, hot dogs, Philly
So yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I would always recommend that you call a family member or a friend to come and do all those things for you, like we talked about. Call the police and take pictures and
10:45 a.m. So don't be late. There's
that's very
something for
helpful.
everyone. So bring the entire family and join us for this fun-filled day at the Family Fun
Driver
Day
exchange.
Festival. For more
Yeah, there's
information
a
and
driver
directions,
exchange
call
form.
the
Yeah, tell them what the
church
driver
at
exchange form is.
865-5252
So, in addition
or check
to
us out
a
on the
police
web
report,
at
which you will receive because you call
fpccenter.org.
the
Make
police,
plans now to join us for our Family
eventually,
Fun Day Festival.
yeah,
Sunday,
it takes
May
about a week, would you
24
say,
at
give or take?
11:15 a.m. at Faith Tabernacle
You'll
Christian
also
Center,
receive a driver
located in
exchange
St.
form.
Paul,
So
North
that's an
Carolina.
important
See you
document
there.
because it has the other driver's information or
If you can no
lack
longer
of
work
insurance,
because of illness or injury, you
has
should be
forbid.
collecting
But it has
Social
their
Security
insurance
Disability
information, their
Insurance
name,
benefits.
address,
Call Brent
everything
Adams
like that,
now for a
which
free
helps speed the
consultation.
process along
Don't
for
give up
filing.
just because you've been turned
Right. So
down.
once an officer
Brent Adams
shows
has
up,
helped
they do
thousands
that
collect
driver
full
exchange
disability
form, they get that
benefits
information
even
and give
after
it
they've
to
been
you.
turned down.
But,
Call now,
you can go above and beyond that, and if there's any witnesses there, you don't have any trials like
Don't hesitate. Call
telling me
8.
about this
At Brent
sweet
Adams
man
and
that helped
Associates,
them get out of the
we
car
make
and walked
things
them over
right.
and put, so they could lay down on the side, but they don't remember, they didn't get their name or anything. They remember they were in a truck, and he had white hair. And that guy would be a great witness to trial. So I think it's very important your loved one to get their information or hand your phone to them and say, please put your information in my phone in case I need you. Or could I please get your information in case anything happens later? Thank you so much. Sometimes a really good officer will get the witness's information and their phone number and put it on a crash report, but that doesn't happen very often.
Right, exactly. People assume that it does, and it very rarely does. The next topic is refrain from discussing the details of the collision. And something interesting that he notes in this book is that this includes your own insurance adjuster. You can talk to the adjuster about your car, the damage to your car, but he advises not to talk about the accident facts or your injuries. Why is that, Diana?
So, because you don't want to give up any liability, you would need to talk to us first, right? This is in a case where there might be a question as to liability. So your insurance is going to want to do some type of investigation if the crash report is not clear cut, right? Or the defendant is saying something else is causing caused the crash than what is on the crash report. If it's not clear cut, like, you're stopped at a red light and you're rear-ended. Let's say, somebody they're turning and y'all crashed in the middle of an intersection. That happens. He says that because he doesn't want you to give them any information that it could be used against you. But your insurance information, so if you have full coverage, they can pay to fix your car. You don't have to wait for the defendant. And then your insurance will actually go after the defendant's insurance to get their money back. It's wonderful when you have full coverage like that. Otherwise, you are at the mercy of the defendant's insurance to pay and fix your car and get you a new car and get your rental set up and all that if you don't have it yourself. But your insurance, if you have full coverage, will do all of that for you. It doesn't increase your policy. They will get their money back from the defendant, but you get your stuff taken care of a lot faster. Never talk to anybody about your injuries besides us. You will do, if your insurance wants to talk to you or the defendant's insurance usually wants to talk to you, then we will do what's called a recorded statement. We will meet with you, discuss it with you, and then do the call with you to make sure that they don't ask you anything that is off topic. So this is usually about the crash. Recently, we've been getting a lot of UIM, which is underinsured coverage policies, wanting to do recorded statements to prove residency. Honestly, me and Emily have been doing a few of those. But normally, it's just to get a statement about how the crash happened. The crash is separate from bodily injury. Property damage is different. Oh, we're at the end of our hour, Emily. I just realized it's 10:59. Well, thank you so much for letting us talk to you. Don't forget, call the H. Don't hesitate. Call the H, 910-888-8888. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sponsored by Brent Adams and Associates. I'm Amy Wabike, an attorney here, and for the first half of our show, we went over some common things and pitfalls to avoid when you've been injured in a wreck, what to look out for. And for the second half of today's show, I want to answer some practical questions that people have after a wreck, because after a wreck, you're not just dealing with injuries, you're also wondering, how do I get my car fixed? Who pays for the rental? So let's talk about some of these questions. And as always, if you have any questions about the injury side of your case, don't hesitate, call the 8, 910-888-8888. That's the number for Brent Adams and Associates. If you have any questions about a car wreck case, Social Security, workers' comp, or something else that you are struggling with, we can see how we can help or point you in the right direction. So don't hesitate, call the 8, 910-888-8888. Now, one of the biggest questions that I often get after people have been hurt in a wreck is, who pays my medical bills? And this is one of the most confusing parts of the entire process for a lot of people, because most people naturally assume, wreck wasn't my fault, so the other driver's insurance company should just pay my bills immediately. And that sounds logical, and I agree with people that would make sense, but that's not how it works in real life. Typically, your treatment happens first, and then the settlement would happen later. And sometimes it can be much later, just depending on how your treatment goes and how your claim goes. So while the injury claim is going, people often have to rely on other sources to help cover medical expenses. And some other sources that you can use can include your health insurance, MedPay coverage, Medicare or Medicaid, or sometimes treatment arranged through the providers themselves. They may be willing to work with you on a lien and hold that bill until all your treatment is done and until you get some recovery for your bodily injury and your legal claim. So let's kind of break into these. I think a lot of people understand their health insurance, but a question I've gotten is, can I use my health insurance? Should I use my health insurance on my medical bills after I've been in a car wreck? And my suggestion to people is, if you just want the peace of mind to know that your bill's paid for, you don't want to worry about anything ending up in collections, and you've got the health insurance, then yes, go ahead, apply your health insurance to your medical bills to get it taken care of. All the same, we can still request your medical bills for you. Your attorney can get those records, compile it, and send it to the insurance company. And then anything you had to pay out of pocket, of course, we would ask for reimbursement for that. And usually this won't make a difference to you one way or the other, but be aware that anything your health insurance pays on your medical bills, they can often ask that they also get reimbursed for that from the car insurance company. But let's talk about another kind of recovery that people can get for their medical expenses, which is called MedPay. And that's short for medical payments coverage. This is optional coverage that many automobile insurance policies can offer and that you can sign up for to help pay medical expenses related to a car wreck, regardless of who was at fault or who was responsible for the wreck happening. And so a surprising number of people have MedPay on their auto policies and don't even realize it. Sometimes you might have been paying for this for years, but you've never noticed it because it's just been buried in your policy and you haven't had a reason to look at it or to ever use it. Now,
MedPay is not unlimited money. It just depends on how much you have on your policy, on how much you signed up for, or whoever started the policy for you, how much that person signed up for when they did. Usually I see it being, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. Sometimes it can be more, but it's always set to some certain amount, which is why give us a call. We can also look into your insurance for you after you've been hurt in a wreck, and that is one of the things we will check, which is your MedPay to see if you have that coverage, because that is one of the ways that you can get immediate help with paying for your medical bills after a wreck has happened, rather than having to wait for the at-fault insurance company of the other car, of the person who hit you or who injured you, waiting for them to pay after your treatment has been completed and after they've gotten all your medical bills and records and reviewed it and made an offer for your claim. Because even a small amount can help offset some of these big ambulance bills, emergency room visits, or out-of-pocket payments that you might have. And another question I do often get, people can get scared about, checking their own insurance coverage. I've had many clients who've had new cases opened up, and I've asked them, do you have MedPay coverage? And per usual, they're not sure, because a lot of people don't know all the coverages that are available on their policies. And so we always offer to look into that for them and check if they have that coverage. And one of their common fears is, well, if you look at my coverage, or if I use my MedPay coverage or any of my coverage, is that going to make my insurance premiums go up? So the good news is that because of the way North Carolina works, it's an at-fault state, there should be no effect to your premiums for a wreck that you were not at fault for. So especially if you've been injured in something like a rear end collision, somebody rear ends you, a driver runs a red light, someone pulls out in front of you, if you're not at fault for that wreck, using your MedPay, using any of your insurance coverage that you pay for already, that you have submitted premiums on for months or years, should not cause your premiums to rise. I have never seen a case where it has caused premiums to rise if it's a wreck that you were not responsible for. So definitely at least let your attorneys take a look at that, see what coverage you do have, because there can be many situations where that coverage can really help you out after you've been hurt in a wreck, when you have bills to pay, when you have, your car has been totaled or badly damaged and it takes weeks for it to get repaired. So rather than waiting for the other insurance company to finish an investigation, talk to their insured, talk to all the witnesses, and decide, that they're accepting responsibility, if you've got the coverage that can help you with a rental, if you've got the coverage that can help you with medical bills on your own policy, we definitely suggest using it just to help you get by while your claim is pending with the other insurance company. Now, another question that I have seen come up after car wrecks, or another situation I have seen come up is, people refusing to get treatment because they're scared of medical bills. Definitely happens all the time. Do not blame anyone for this. You might be in a wreck and think, oh, I can't afford an ambulance. I can't afford physical therapy. I don't want to go into medical debt, so I'll just try to tough it out. I won't get treatment. I'll sleep it off. I will avoid going to the doctor because medical care is expensive, and especially if you've just been injured in a wreck and you've already maybe missed a day or two from work because of your injuries, you can be struggling financially. So that's another reason why it's so important to check what coverage is on your insurance, see if there's something that can help you, and talk to an attorney, because there might be options that you can look into to help pay for medical treatment rather than just waiting for the insurance company to give you some kind of settlement. And getting that treatment after a wreck is so important to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your own legal right and your own legal claims. Because if you ignore your injuries, they can just create a lot more problems down the road, both medically and legally.
Untreated injuries can worsen over time. What starts out as stiffness can become chronic pain. What starts as soreness, you may discover you had nerve symptoms that needed treatment. And sometimes people can wait months hoping that things will just improve or get better over time, only to later discover that they had some injury inside that was a lot more serious than what they originally thought. But from the insurance company's perspective, even though person to person, that makes complete sense, we understand that you are doing the best you can to, make it through the day and go on with your life. The insurance company, they do not have that perspective. All they will see is that delayed treatment is a reason to argue you do not have a case, or a reason to argue that you were not injured, your injuries are not serious, and that they should not be responsible to pay for that treatment that you need. Because once again, insurance companies love gaps in treatment. If you wait a long time before seeing a doctor, that's when they argue that, well, your injury wasn't serious, something else could have caused this pain, maybe you got hurt at work, whatever excuse they can come up with, whatever story they can make up during that time when you weren't getting treatment. So once again, that's why it's important. Get the treatment that you can. If you're having any concerns about paying for your treatment after a wreck, give an attorney a call. See what they can find on your own insurance policy and see if they can find any kind of options that could help you out. Because getting that treatment after a wreck is so important to take care of yourself and take care of your legal rights. Now, another question that comes up very often after a wreck is rental cars and property damages. And that is something that can be even more stressful than the bodily injuries after you've been in a wreck. Because on top of dealing with all the pain, you have to deal with the fact that, maybe you don't have a car to get to work. Maybe you don't have a car to get to the doctor's appointments that you need to treat your injuries. Maybe you have other people in your family relying on you to take them different places, to school or to their own jobs. And oftentimes that car is a really vital part of just completing the things you need to do in your day-to-day life. So one of the most common questions I hear is, who pays for my rental car? Or can I even get a rental car? Generally speaking, if another driver caused the wreck, their insurance company ultimately will be responsible for reasonable rental expenses. So sounds simple on its face, but we'll break it down because there's little things inside of that can get more complicated. So even though that's simple, the timing there is the real issue because insurance companies do not always move quickly. Usually, they will always have to talk to their insured before they accept any kind of responsibility for a car wreck. And now if their insured stops working with them or stops communicating with them, I have seen that delay a claim for months. For example, we had one claim one case where someone had pulled out in front of our client. And to the client, it seems very straightforward. The other driver was responsible, but the at-fault insurance company, they wanted to talk to their insured and see what their driver said about the wreck. But their driver, who already was not a responsible driver, who did not want to accept responsibility for the wreck, basically just vanished, would not answer any calls, would not even show up to the door when they sent an adjuster to that person's house to, try and look at the car and assess the damages. And so for months, our firm was reaching out and saying, hey, you need to make a decision on this claim. You need to accept responsibility for this wreck. And they were saying, well, we need to talk to our insured. We can't get a hold of them, sending them letters, sending an adjuster out there. And eventually they did move forward with the claim without ever getting to talk to their driver. But that was just weeks and weeks of delay and waiting for them and pushing them. And so in that situation, yes, eventually that client, we did get the insurance company to accept responsibility. They did pay for the repairs to the car. They did pay for a rental, but that took a significant amount of time. So in the meantime, our client, still had to search for another car,
still had to get a new financing on that car, transfer the tags, transfer the paperwork, and that was a long process. Which is another reason why, checking the coverage on your own policy, that's something that could help during that situation. You may have rental car coverage on your policy, especially if you have full coverage that can help you during that time. So we definitely would recommend looking into your coverage, seeing if it applies during that. And once again, like I said, people can get scared about using their coverage to help, get that rental car, pay for the repairs to their own vehicle. But better to use it if you have it, because that's what your premiums are for. That's exactly why you pay those premiums, than have to wait many, many weeks for the other insurance company to accept responsibility if you need the help right now. Another question people will ask, if my car, I have unfortunately seen it happen too many times, a brand new car or almost completely brand new car will get into a very bad wreck. And then people will ask, can I get a diminished value for my car? And yes, you can. Usually there is a formula an insurance company uses to calculate it, but they would take essentially the value of your car, the cost of the repairs to your vehicle, and they usually take about 10 to 15% of whatever that repair cost is, and they can add that in for the diminished value. And another question I come across is, can I negotiate with the insurance company? Can I basically get a better offer for my diminished value? Can I get a better offer for my car? Yes, you can. It can be a long process. It can be something where you will need to show them more documentation, but it's definitely something that can be done. So I think one of the biggest questions we get here is, what is my case worth? And this is something where there is no fixed answer. No one case is worth one exact amount. Every case is different. It all just depends on, the unique facts of your case. And it's one of the hardest questions to answer, and why we always suggest talking to an attorney and let them work with that with you through the life of your case. There's no magic calculator. There's no universal payout. Sometimes people will tell you, oh, there's a formula that you can use that will tell you what your case is worth, but there is no such magic formula. It just depends on the unique facts of your case. But some of the things that make a difference and that will be looked at are things like the severity of your injuries, the medical treatment that you get, the permanency of your injuries. Are they permanent? Are they lasting? Or do they heal up over time? Your lost wages, your future medical needs, pain and suffering, scarring, liability issues, such as any arguments about who is responsible for the wreck or for your injuries, and your available insurance coverage. All of those can make a difference on the value of your case, and that's why it's always best to have an attorney look at it and give you some advice on what they're seeing. And to circle back to what we talked about this morning, if you're in a wreck and it doesn't seem too serious, maybe the damage to your car seems minor, even then, we still would ask that you give us a call. Always better to talk to an attorney and see what they say. And if it does turn out to be a wreck where you don't have any injuries, where you feel better after getting checked out, your attorney will tell you that. We will tell you that if we feel like this is a case that you can handle on your own, but always best to have an attorney look at it and make sure that your rights are being protected. So we are almost up here to the end of the hour. But once again, if you have any questions about your case, any questions about your injuries after you've been hurt in a car wreck, questions about Social Security, workers' compensation, or some slip and fall, some injury that you've received, don't wait. Call the 8, 910-888-8888. Give us a call. Let us see how we can help. We're more than happy to walk through the facts of what happened with you and see what we can do. So
You done got a praise step on already. Before this thing is over with, I'm gonna need 10 more people. Got a Holy Ghost there, listen. Good God Almighty. On a Monday, I got a real man. Heavy load. On a Monday, he got a praise down. Yeah, yeah. I got a real man. Heavy load. Somebody wanna know about me? Let me talk about my day. I'm gonna move these days up. Let me talk about my day.